So we are finally doing our editing tutorial, not most, the glide cam is definitely the most requested, but this is the second most requested video, and this will be a series of videos because you can't teach editing in one sitting without question. So I just opened up Adobe Premiere. We use Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud, and if you're curious why I use that and our entire team uses that, you can watch this video that's going to pop up right in this general area. That's my opinion of why I use this software and why a lot of other people all around the world use this software as well. So I want this to be as practical as possible, so I am going to start a new project, and I will title this Wake Surfing. See, I even know how to spell. And I just created my new project within Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud. It's all right here on this monitor, and I'm going to first, whenever I start a project, I bring in my video files. So I am going to open up this hard drive, and we use a lot of different hard drives, but definitely the main hard drive are G-Tech hard drives or Promise hard drives, 64 terabytes or 32 terabytes. So definitely a lot of video footage. Now down here in this hard drive, I can see all the different folders I have from the different projects that we've been shooting recently. This hard drive has everything we've shot in 2016. And I am going to find the one we just shot recently that is titled, what did I title it? Wake Surfing. Actually, it was Lake Powell. So we filmed the video in Lake Powell. We shot several different videos. Shot a Brody trick shot video, paddle boarding, boxing, which I'm stoked on, and then wake surfing right there. So right here, whenever we shoot everything, we have everything divided really well or organized as far as BTS shots, drone shots, GoPro shots, red stuff, and boat product shots, meaning we got cool shots of the boats that we were using. Now I'm going to click right here, the red folder, and that has every folder or every memory card we used to capture the footage shot on the red. So whenever I approach a project, I first just bring in all the footage so I know exactly what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to click on this folder right here. Now red works a little bit different than typical Canon DSLR footage. So it's a little bit more complicated. I'm just gonna select everything, which is Apple A if you're using the hotkeys that Premiere has for Apple computers, and I'm going to import. So I go from media browser and I'm importing everything into my project, which is right here, and it's already done that. So that's everything that I just imported all right here. And I'm gonna create a new folder because this can get fairly complicated fairly fast. So I'm just going to call this folder down here red, and that's where I'm going to put all the red footage, and I'm going to throw it all into that folder. So now I can open and close it, and it's super well organized because it's all right there. So I just created a new bin. Now I'm going to grab everything and drop it and throw it into that new bin, and I'm going to call this card 1. Now that way I can find my footage significantly faster. Now I'm going to go to my media browser, and then I'm going to bring in the next clip or the next memory card that I was shooting with. Right click, import. Now it's throwing all that footage into here as well, and then I'm going to create a new bin right here called card 2, and then I'll grab all this footage from that card and drop it here. So this is kind of like the tedious stuff that's not very exciting. And then card 2, I throw it in the red folder as well. So everything once again is super clean. Go back to my media browser. Now I go to the third card that we shot with, and sometimes it takes a second to load because we shot a lot of footage on this in particular shoot. And then I import all that. And as you already saw, it throws that into here. I can't click it because it's loading it all and just got done loading. And now it's all right here. You can see I shot, and each one of these is a new take that we did. And if I ever want to see any of these takes, I can just click it twice, and I can see the footage right here just like that. So I'm going to, once again, create a new folder, card 3. And you should be aware that there are a lot of editors out there, and I've never seen 2 different editors edit the same way. So the way I edit, the way I work with my workflow is going to be completely different than someone else. So this isn't set in stone. This is the what I found to be best for what I do and what I create, and it's kind of the language that I know how to speak, because editing is a completely different language. So I'm going to import this footage as well, and it's importing as we speak, and it is now in the folder. And as you saw, card 4. Once again, this isn't the stuff that's all the fame and glory that everyone thinks it is. Editing, though, is definitely amazing. I absolutely love it. And what I love about it is it's instant gratification, as far as you can instantly make a quick change and have a huge impact on the edit. And I'm just going to go ahead and create card 5 as well, so I can throw it in there a little faster. Okay, go back to my media browser. This is the stuff I just imported. I have 2 cards left. As it's loading the file right now, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Okay, it is there. Now I'm importing everything in. And just like that, this is card 5. And I just, oh, it already did it for me, see? And then I throw it in there. So if I open red folder, I can see all my cards that I've already created. So I have 1 more card left, so I'm just gonna go ahead and create that now. Card 6. So the red cards that we shoot on, they're 512 gigs. We definitely weren't shooting 512 gigs on each of these cards. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that window. But with that being said, we're kind of dividing it by the times of the days when we start a new card and we start backing up footage, just so we could be as organized as possible. Doesn't always go as planned, but when you can be organized, we are all about that. So I now have all my footage from the red card right here. Now I'm going to start a new folder right here. Once again, I click this icon, New Bin, and for anything that's in Adobe, if you scroll over it, it tells you right there, play stop toggle, and that's the space bar. So if I push the space bar, it will start playing. Okay, so right here is the new folder I just created. I am going to click it on the left of the mouse, and I'm going to call this folder Drone. I like using caps, but you don't have to use caps. So now I'm going to create this, and I'm going to throw, we're done with the red footage. So the 1DX, we just got the new 1DX camera. And then the drone footage was shot on the Inspire. That is right here. And for some reason lately, Adobe's been a little weird where sometimes it doesn't recognize everything that's in that folder. So I have to open it up here, and I'm going to actually do that manually. Right here, all it says is that there's a image, a still image right there. But I know that's not true. So I am now going to open up this folder, and there is Lake Powell, wake surfing, and then you'll see the drone footage right here. So now I can see this is the image that this is recognizing Adobe, but for some reason, I don't know why this is, it's not recognizing all these other folders that we've already created. So another way to do this, instead of importing it through the media browser, I can actually just drag and drop. They suggest going through the media browser because it gives it a little bit more information for some reason. I don't know the technical reason for that, but I do know that's true because I've talked to people at Adobe personally, and I've learned that firsthand. So I just dragged and dropped everything in there. That works for most files without any problems. For some reason, sometimes red files, it kind of freaks out. So here is all of our drone footage right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to create a timeline to edit with my red footage. So I'm just going to grab card 1, and I can grab it right here, and I can throw it to this right here, new item, and it will create for me a new timeline. So just grab and drop. It just created a brand new timeline right here. It automatically knows the footage dimensions, which I can always scroll left and right. So if I scroll all the way, it's actually right here, I can see the dimensions that I shot this. So we shot this all at 6K, and there's our actual dimensions right there in case you're wondering what that actually looks like. So when I grabbed and dropped that in there, it created a new sequence, and it called it the same thing that the red clip that I threw in there. Now that's not a very good name because that name is now right here as well. So I'm going to title this red footage, make it as simple as possible. And if I click on this, it just creates the same folder up here again. So I can, once again, you see the timeline that I just created. and I'm gonna minus this or close it down, and then I can grab this and drop it in here. So now I have everything organized very well. So once I do this, I'm gonna click on my red folder. I've already thrown one clip in here, and I'm gonna grab everything else that's in that folder. And then I click the top one and the bottom one, and I hold shift and it selects everything in between that. So that's a little kind of shorthand, and then I throw it down here. So now what's going on right here is the top line. It's divided by video and audio. So the red, the new red weapon, it actually does record audio on the camera. We didn't have any external mics going on into the camera. So that's the reason why it was capturing this the way it did. And for the times over here where you don't see any audio timeline, the reason for that is because we are filming it in slow motion, and the red doesn't record audio when you're filming it in slow motion. And it actually turns the clip, Premiere does this, it turns it to purple so I can distinguish very easy what was shot in slow motion and normal speed, or 24 frames per second. So you can tell right here this is normal speed. Okay, so I put card 1 on there. Now I'm gonna put card 2 on there. Scroll down. Now, I'm a very visual person, so I like to look at my timeline and instantly know where everything is. Most people, not most, a lot of people I've seen, they'll go clip by clip here, and they'll kind of edit the footage and throw it on the timeline. I just like it all being there because a lot of times I'll go back to the footage. So this is the way I edit. Once again, hopefully there's not any haters saying you're the worst editor ever. This is how I do it, and this is what has worked for me, and that is the reason for that. So I just grabbed everything from card 2, and I'm going to throw it over here. And then if I plus or minus on my keyboard, I can zoom in or zoom out. Now I have card 2, and I always put a space so I instantly know that it's a different memory card and different things are going on. And then I'll minus this one. And now I'm going to throw card 3 down. And I'm going to put that right over here, and then I'll just minus that. And then I'm going to open now card 4, grab that, and then grab and drop in there. And now for card 5. Once again, this is the tedious stuff that's not very exciting, but for me personally, it makes it a lot easier because I'm going to spend the next week working on this project every day. So I want to make it as easy as possible, and especially for our team, this is how most of us, if not all of us on our team, for all the videos you see, this is how we're editing it. So if Carter, Tyson, Seth comes to my project, they'll instantly know, or for the most part know what I was doing and not try and make sense out of all the scribble lines. So right here I have card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, card 5, and card 6. And I throw that all on timeline 1. Now, just so you know, my red timeline is now completed. This is a 6K timeline because that's how I threw the red footage in originally. It interpreted that for me and did that math and that work. Now I have the drone footage. We shot the drone footage also in 4K. Now, something to be aware of is you see 6K footage right here, but if I grab and drop 4K footage onto the timeline, which I just did, and plus and minus, if I look at it now, you can see that there's big black bars around it. That's because this is 4K footage, so you can see the difference from 4K footage to 6K footage, a huge difference. And now if I'm trying to work in this space, this footage, it has a harder time, so it plays it back a little slower. So once I'm finally done, we're exporting out all our videos at 4K, but we're editing them in the timeline where most of our footage was shot. So we're editing in a 6K timeline. If I knew I was going to use this exact shot, I would click here, and this is kind of a more elaborate tutorial we'll talk about later, but you can jump into motion, and I can zoom in or out of my actual image and something like that. And I'm not losing quality, it's just I'm having to up-res it is what they call it in the biz, and it's not making it true 6K, it's 4K up-res to 6K. But when I export it out at 4K, it essentially has the same quality that it was originally shot at because it's going back to 4K. Now, I normally never throw my 4K footage in the 6K timeline from the start. I personally will edit it in a 4K timeline. So the red footage, here's my 6K timeline. I'm going to now create a 4K timeline, so I'll grab this footage, drop it in right there, and once again, it named the timeline the same as the footage that I threw in there. And I'm going to call this drone footage, and I'm just going to take this out of the drone folder so I have an easier time finding it. Now, it doesn't have black bars because it already created a 4K timeline for me. And I'm going to grab these folders and just throw them all in. And now I can edit this footage without those black timelines. And once I find the footage here, then I'll throw it to a master timeline, which I will create later once I'm ready to start actually assembling the clips. So that essentially is how I set up the project to start editing. Now, I use all the space that you see on the monitor. It has all these windows that I can minus, plus, and all that fun stuff. I love working with space that I don't have to kind of jump all over the place. And right here to Adobe Premiere, it has it set up where you can, let's say I want to focus on color correcting. I click color. And now it already has these presets for color, so I can throw my clip right here, and I can start color correcting it. Let's say I just want to make it super saturated or desaturated for that matter. I can start correcting just like that. And we actually do all our color correction in Premiere as well for 99% of everything that you see on our YouTube channel. That's a completely different tutorial we'll save for another day, but I'm just kind of showing you some of the features. But really what it comes down to is this is my main window right here. And I'm going to change it once again to my workspace, not being color because that's not what I'm focused on, but editing. So it kind of changes or transforms that. Now, Adobe makes it so everything is super personalized depending on what I like, what I want. So let's say, for example, I prefer my effects to be over here. This personally doesn't make sense in my opinion, so I'll move it back, but you have that option to do that. A lot of the stuff too that we actually shoot it super widescreen because that's how most of the movies are shot. So widescreen, this was shot in kind of a 16:9. It was 6K, but kind of the aspect ratio was close to 16:9. And we do kind of ultra widescreen. And so the monitors that we're using for everything that we're creating is LG ultra wide monitors. We're using the ultra wide monitors, and it works perfect for everything that we're doing because I have everything I need right there. Back in the day, and even to this day when I use laptops, I am working on a space that is significantly more confined. It's more like a space like this. Now the problem with that is when you're editing on a timeline like this, it's not ideal by any means because you're constantly having to zoom in and out. When you have this much space, I can do everything right here, and it's like almost too much space. So that is something you can't really complain about. I'm sure some people are going to complain about it. You shouldn't complain about it. So this is a basic tutorial on setting up your timeline to start editing. So yeah, let me know any questions you have in the comments below on setting up your timeline. So stay tuned for the next editing tutorial where we'll be going more in depth on all this, and we're going to pick it up right from where I just placed all this footage. So once again, thanks so much for watching, for supporting us. As we always say, over and out.
Yeah, wham, bam, super tramp. And I tipping up my hat while I boost the fans. And I hover up top, can you feel the noise? All the girls scream mad cause they want the boys. Yo, making all the clouds looking like a big joke. When I run so fast and I sing so low, and you never wanna mess with me. You're just testing me, I just set me free, so just stop.